Hey guys, we are about to get going. I am just, let's see here. Waiting for my guest to arrive. As soon as we get here, as soon as she gets here, we will get going. Let's see. Yep, here she is. I see you. All right. All right. Hi.
Yay, there it goes.
All right, so we are going to get going because we have a lot to cover in a really short amount of time. So thank you for meeting with me.
Okay.
And so I'm Coach Angie, and I want you to introduce yourself. Can you hear me?
Did I phrase it? Okay, I think I know.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, so I'm Coach
There we go.
Angie, and then go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, hello, beautiful souls. I'm Adelina Sanchez. I'm a licensed massage therapist that offers cannabis-infused wellness treatment plans.
Yes.
So, yes, go ahead.
Awesome. No, and thank you so much for meeting with me. And, we've kind of been following each other, I don't know if we've ever met directly. I don't think so.
No, like not even vented at an event yet together, right? Nothing.
No, we haven't.
Okay,
We'll get there. We'll
we
get
will.
there.
We will.
So what I want to go ahead and get started with is we know that you're a massage therapist and you used CBD and a lot of the products that you create.
Yeah.
So first, let's quickly just go over like what you do really quick, and then like the products, and then we'll dive into all the questions.
The good stuff. Yeah. So I have been a licensed massage therapist for the past 15 years. 15 years this year.
Mm-hmm.
And in these 15 years, though, I have gravitated to really working with patients and clients that have real medical chronic conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And so in these years, I've customized my treatments specifically for those with cancer, arthritis, MS, menstrual cramps. My athletes are a huge market of mine. So I'm definitely excited to be talking with you about that. But so professionally, yes, that's what I've been doing as a massage therapist. And then about going on about 4 or 5 years ago, I started working with a client who has an extreme arthritis condition. She's bedridden.
Oh, wow.
And it was her who got me or educated me on the medical part of the cannabis. And mind you, this is a mature woman who's really sick. She's not trying to get high. She doesn't smoke. She's in the house all day. She's asthmatic. But when she gave me this cream and she was like, just use this, and it had a marijuana plant on it, I was like, hold on. I think I've used like all these kind of memories and things started coming back. Anywho, she got me into this, and since then I was like, I know how to make this. I could make this. I found me a Black-owned farm. We're getting amazing oils. And so now I'm here with Leafly Therapy, and I customizedly make products that are infused with CBD, but that are really targeted to everybody's different needs. That's been a big issue here in the industry of not knowing, because we don't know, and everybody's chemistry is so different.
Yeah.
It's been pretty difficult. So I'm here for us to figure out how we can get it to work for you medically.
Yeah, so we're going to be going rapid fire because I really want to get a lot covered. Okay, so like tell us, what is CBD? Let's start there. Like if we had no idea, we were just like, what the heck is that? What is CBD?
So CBD is a cannabinoid that binds with these receptors in our body to calm us down, right? So for example, you
Mm-hmm.
have Tylenol. That is, these chemicals give receptors in our bodies to block certain things like
Okay.
pain. CBD is a plant that is already outside that is made to work with our bodies. That's what CBD is. But it is a oil that comes from the cannabis plant, the medicinal oil that comes from the cannabis plant.
Okay. So how is that different? Okay. How's that different or similar to than THC?
So the difference of, or the similarity is that they both come from the plants. This is, again, I use Tylenol as a good example because you have
Mm-hmm.
Tylenol, you have Tylenol extra strength,
Mm-hmm.
PM, arthritis, right? So all
Mm-hmm.
of them come from the Tylenol. CBD, THC, that comes from the cannabis plant. These
Mm-hmm.
are these specific, again, cannabinoids that are in the plant. The differences in them is the recreational and the medicinal part. And
Okay.
we say recreational just because of societal, easy
Mm-hmm.
language, but it's recreational because the power of it is the psychedelic effects. That is
Mm-hmm.
what binds with these receptors called CB1s that are in our brains and
Mm-hmm.
right here in the heart area. So that's what it affects. That's why it's going to get you high. It's going to make you feel
Mm-hmm.
good. You're going to get, that's what the THC does. Then you have
Okay.
these other receptors called CB2s that are in the rest of our body. Again, like Tylenol, right? Like if you take Tylenol migraine, whatever chemicals they put in that Tylenol are specifically going to help here for the migraine. Then you
Okay.
have arthritis. So that Tylenol will help other areas. It's exactly
Got it.
what CBD does. That is to help the inflammation parts that you have in your wrist or in your ankle or in your
Mm-hmm.
hip, right?
Okay. Okay. All right. That's helpful. So, you when we have already kind of spoken, and you were asking me questions based on what I said I was doing, and you said, okay, well, is it full spectrum? Is it the full plant? Is it broad spectrum? Is it isolate? I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
tell
yeah.
us these different things. When we're like going to the store and you see all these different options, can you help us like work
Yeah.
through that?
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you're asking these questions because these are the questions that if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's three forms that you can take cannabinoids. And when I say cannabinoids, THC is a cannabinoid,
Uh-huh.
CBD is a cannabinoid, CBG. So all of these molecules that are in the plant are different types of cannabinoids, right?
Mm-hmm.
But CBD or the three types are specific because you have full spectrum, and in the name itself is full. It'll be a little bit of everything that is in the plants, right?
Okay.
But in our case, we're talking about CBD. So it would be
Mm-hmm.
full spectrum CBD. It has all of the cannabinoids and
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit of THC to
Mm-hmm.
keep it for federal reasons wise, right? If you go to Cali, though, full spectrum can also include a way higher
Mm-hmm.
number of THC. But full spectrum pretty much just means it's a little bit or a little bit of all of the parts of the plant. Right.
Okay.
That's also very important because that's kind of how the plant though best works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's an entourage effect. So if you have a little bit of the whole plant,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the benefit you're looking for, again,
Mm-hmm.
CBD can help with arthritis. So
Mm-hmm.
if you use full spectrum, but the majority is going to be CBD, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
help with the inflammation, but it'll give you a little a calmness that help with
Mm-hmm.
other things. Anyways, the other part is we have full spectrum, then we have isolate. Isolate just means you are isolating a specific cannabinoid. Right.
Okay.
So that means that you just have CBD or you just have THC or you just have CBG. That's also important because it would really depend or benefit different people. Like if you're a consumer or if you're not a consumer. If you
Right.
don't consume at all and your endocannabinoid system hasn't been activated,
Mm-hmm.
an isolate would be really good for you, right? If you use
Mm-hmm.
like the whole plant all at once, it could give you an anxietic effect, because you will feel the
Okay.
effect.
Got
Then
it.
lastly is the broad. Broad is just kind of everything but THC.
Okay.
That's pretty much what that is, just to keep the THC psychedelic effect apart. So
Okay.
for everything, broad, everything but THC, and then isolate only one.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, one thing that I was, really curious about is, as far as, and I'll tell you why, and I want to recognize the folks that are listening. So if you do have questions, just put them out there, and then we'll do our best to make sure you get those questions answered, because we can't see them. But I might have a question that you also have.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons that I am curious about it, and I've been doing my own research when it comes to hormones and women's hormones and stress, and a lot of it's related to cortisol. And cortisol can definitely impact just cause other issues, right? So it kind of goes back to how you're managing your stress. And for me, I've noticed that I am just anxious a lot more than normal. And
Okay.
so, and not to say it's my kids, but I just have a lot on my plate. And so I have a lot going on. And I noticed that I just recently started taking a little bit of CBD and clinical cannabinoid pharmacist. Oh, cool. Hey. Um, and so I started recently taking it, and I have noticed that things that would normally irritate me, I'm kind of like not as irritated, with it. And so it's just a really positive, even keel energy, if that's a way I could describe it. So, yeah, so that's kind of why I was really, really curious about it. And then, for others that are, I would say, our seasoned adults in life that are
Yeah.
experiencing like aches and pains and things like that, I know that, like you said, that they're starting to utilize like some of the topicals more often. So basically, you said it's for everybody, and anybody can benefit from it. So one of the things that I've kind of been talking about with friends and family is some side effects, and concerns as far as like, well, if I do take CB, if I do use it in some form, whether it's the drops or I rub it, based on the research that they found, and I don't know where they're reading, getting their research from, but as far as withdrawal effects, have you heard anything as far as it causing anxiety when you decide to not use it? Like, how would you navigate that for someone that's concerned about that?
Yeah. My biggest suggestion with that, the exact any it's because everyone's body is very different. When I
Yeah.
mentioned, for example, if you're a daily consumer of cannabis versus someone who's not,
Mm-hmm.
if you start using CBD drops, for example, the effect is going to be very different for
Mm-hmm.
everyone. Like somebody that doesn't have their endocannabinoid like
Mm-hmm.
activated as much as somebody who consumes
Mm-hmm.
um may feel an effect. Now, as far as like a withdrawal, I personally have not heard of any necessarily withdrawals.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not.
Mm-hmm.
But the anxiety one, I have heard of that one. I even experienced it once with a client where she really didn't believe
Mm-hmm.
that CBD worked, right? And so when we did do the massage, she had relaxed so much that I really moved, like we could feel like her traps like
Mm-hmm.
elongate, that I was able to feel that knot that she had on her rhamboid.
Right.
She freaked out.
Yeah.
She was just, I've never felt like, we stopped the massage and had to reschedule and everything. But I do want to point out that that wasn't necessarily the CBD. The CBD helped her relax. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah. It was the anxiety of her had not felt that
Yeah,
type
that's what I
of
was thinking.
release. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I hear these stories, it's not that it's not true that that didn't happen to them or that wasn't their
Right.
effect, but I really don't believe it was necessarily
Right.
what they were consuming. So I always recommend, and any other professional on here, I'm sure even the pharmacist here would agree, just start with micro dosing, because you don't
Mm-hmm.
know how your
Mm-hmm.
body would react to it. So even
Right.
if you start off like at 5 milligrams, one gummy, maybe just one drop, and then see how that feels, and then double that, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's really the only way for you to really find out how it's going to be beneficial for you. I
Right.
tell you, my first experience with the CBD oil, did just a couple drops. I am a daily consumer. Did nothing. When
Mm-hmm.
I took a whole dropper,
Mm-hmm.
I slept to the next day. Like,
Oh, wow.
my son had to wake me up to take him to school. I wasn't expecting that at all. Like, that was
For sure.
so micro dose. That's how the only way you're gonna find
Yeah.
out. That's how we're trying to figure it out. So yeah.
And I think that's important because, there's so many of these stores that are popping up that have CBD. And I mean, they're not really getting direction. They're just like, oh, okay, I'm going to try this product because they said it was good. And they're not getting the custom direction. Like, okay, we'll start small and then see how it goes. So I think that is really important. And I think that's why I really like that you can kind of customize in a sense what your products. So what about nightmares? Have you heard about that? Like people that are taking CBD really for sleep, that yeah, it helps you sleep, but they're having nightmares. Have you heard that?
I've not. I can
Really?
believe how this happens. What, and again, from my experience, what I did notice that night that I had slept all night, um, CBD won't necessarily put you to sleep, but it will keep you in your REM stage much longer,
Okay.
much deeper. So depending on really what your psyche is during this REM stage,
Mm-hmm.
that could really, so I wouldn't blame it or associate it with the CBD, because that's like, other psychedelics. Like, if you,
Yeah.
what is your mindset, because it really is hyphening again the system that we already have in our bodies.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out real quick before we even move forward, because I find it super duper important, how you mentioned the mental part of this, and how you mentioned like you're not feeling, some things are kind of bugging you as much. Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so proud that you said that, because that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to point out, especially in our community, that because we're the biggest consumers of it, right? Why
Yeah.
do we consume it this much? It is because of this, and we're not even realizing, like, when I became a daily consumer, I was like, oh, I get why I need and prefer to have this every
Yeah.
day. Like, these are daily struggles that we're going out to every single day, and to be able to just be like, all right, whatever, like, it's gonna be
Right.
and not that we push it aside or that we don't think it's there. And that's the beauty of what the CBD does. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
a Vicodin where it blocks these receptors. CBD, or our endocannabinoid system, is already a system that's
Mm-hmm.
waiting for the CBD to bind and
Mm-hmm.
to stop that. So that's that feeling that you're getting where you're just like, that's the binding part. It doesn't
Yeah.
block it, so it don't numb you, and it don't make you feel like blah and oh well.
Right. Yeah, and I think a part of I'm just kind of guessing here, but like as far as like feeling like, okay, well, if I decide to stop taking it, if I don't want to use it anymore, I mean, I think that's a personal choice, but um, I guess with being nervous with what the possible withdrawal effects might be. But I guess so would you recommend for someone that's want to doing, like, let's say someone that does it topically, like, for aches and pains, what would you recommend?
So I'm not a pharmacist, I'm not a doctor. I have to be very careful when we're
Sure,
especially
yeah,
using like
makes sense.
recommendation words. But what I would suggest, or I have noticed, I think first of all, it's a problem that we need to bring to light, right?
Yeah.
Of having to just learn how to deal though with our issues differently and maybe in a healthier way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's similar to those that well, no, I don't even want to correlate it necessarily to drugs, because again, that's a chemical that's actually blocking it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is binding. It's very different. But for any other addict, though, it would be when your environment change and your daily activities change. Like,
Yeah.
would you still, if you're now working out every day and eating healthy every day and coming home to a healthier schedule,
Right.
um, would you need that Advil anyways?
Right, right. Yeah, no, I was kind of thinking in most city apothecary says don't stop abruptly, taper off. Um,
Okay. That's why I think like the process of, if you start taking CBD, let's say like for an athlete, right? I was working with this athlete. when we first started, we were doing like 2 Epsom salts at 100 milligrams for the first week, for the second week, and then the third week we went to like 100 milligrams, and then the fourth week it was another 100 milligrams. But the difference that we did notice in that was just his body was recovering faster anyways. So he didn't need that Epsom salt after that next workout, because it didn't take him 2 days to recover from the soreness, for
Got
example,
it.
right?
Okay.
So you would, eventually be weaning off. Like if you're not, feeling anxiety in the mornings, you wouldn't need the drop, So
Right.
I think my biggest concern, or what I'm hearing at least, is more of, if we stop taking it, will it break us down like other drugs that are chemically made? And that I haven't seen. I'm also not a scientist. I'm not a doctor, any of that stuff. But because of the way that natural oils work in our bodies already, that hasn't.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So we talked about like different ways kind of that it can be consumed. So obviously I've seen like the gummies. You have the body butters, you do the Epsom salt. I've also seen like facial clean, products, the drops. So those are all the different ways that you can I guess use CBD, right?
Consume
Anything.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we have all of these options. Again, it would depend. Like there's also flour, so you can smoke CBD as well too, right? That is the fastest way, because it goes directly to your lungs, right? That's the fastest way to consume. But then it does again depend on like what condition you have. It's my client that has the arthritis, that she's in bed like all day long. She needs something that will be at a slower but stronger intervals, right? So she's in less pain and a lot longer. So like when I was going to her, it was weekly massages. That massage, it was at least 200 milligrams, the whole massage that the whole products that we used in the massage. But throughout the week while I'm not there, she puts it on all day long consistently, that's something that she needs. But then there are people who, again, just need it for anxiety in the morning, just to get started, because going to work and having to face all of these crazy people at work just is overwhelming, right? But then once they get to work and they're already, medicated, and the day goes by smoothly, they don't need it anymore. So again, it's not that it's the tricky part, but because we all are so beautifully different. We just have to go slowly with it.
I mean, I found for myself in the morning, just morning routine stuff, like, getting the kids going. I just feel like I just have a smoother morning, and I'm really in a positive mindset all day long. Not to say I'm negative or anything like that, but I'm just like not like snapping at my kids or snapping at my husband as often. It's just, I've been much more pleasant these days. So,
and so I want to mention what that does is, that's the CBD that binds to these what are they, the serotonin receptors, right? It's not like, again, Vicodin or all those other drugs where it'll block that receptor, right? So that way nothing gets transferred.
Right.
The CBD, it binds to it, so that way, again, you're in a good mood.
And my family's happy. So,
and that's
and I think that goes back to the research I'm really trying to dive into around hormones, because so many women are just our hormones are off, and a lot of it has to do with I really just stress management. How are you allowing yourself to manage your stress? So for me, that's been so far a positive change that I've made, that I've noticed. In addition to like meditation on a daily basis, like I start my mornings off a little bit differently now. So say what?
I said, yes, I've been seeing your videos that you're doing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so just a couple more questions. And if you guys have questions, definitely just chat them in. So as far as, quality, when we're looking for something that's quality, what are some things that we can look for?
So one of the I was actually here with I don't think we've mentioned it yet because I didn't want to like get on your page and like do this plug, but the Most City, the pharmacist here, we're actually working together. So I'm gonna be
Okay,
over
cool.
there.
Go for it.
My battery here. I say that to say though because when I brought you up to him and I was like, you know what, I have a client that I was asking me these kind of questions. Do you have this kind of oil? Because I don't usually order like the oil to sell. I
Yeah.
order my oil to infuse it in my products, right?
Okay.
And so, but since I'm working with him, I'm like, well, I could get the oil now.
Yeah.
But what I did pay attention to of what he was doing, because he's the pharmacist, he was
Yeah.
looking for, first thing was the certificate of authentication. So if you
Did
find
you
that or
send
you're
them what
looking,
I had?
yeah, I did. And that was what he
Okay.
was looking for in the review. And I'm like, what is it that you look for? And that's exactly what he was telling me. He did mention that on your bottle, I believe on the bottom of it, there's like an imprinted or engraved number. We need that number to get it. But
Okay.
anyhow, that's the first thing that you should look for. Find out if that company, that brand just has, that's
Mm-hmm.
the first thing, because then you know at least that whatever products that they're putting into the ingredients
Mm-hmm.
or labeling there,
Mm-hmm.
they have been tested. There's a certification there. That's like the biggest, most important thing, because we do have to remember that, this is still like a very underground industry. And,
Yeah.
there's farms and there's pesticides and there's bugs. And I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
just want to enjoy, but also, unfortunately, we're in the world that we live in, and there's a lot of brands that are putting like snakeskin oil or just hemp oil. That's another big difference. There's a difference between hemp oil and CBD oil.
Oh
Hemp oil
wow.
is amazing. It's really good, amazing for the skin. It has its benefits, but CBD is the medicinal part of the oil.
Got it. That's
Um,
that's a whole nother conversation.
yeah, yes, yeah.
Okay.
But so
I'm
those
like,
three,
oh shoot, now there's hemp oil.
yeah. But so if anything, it would be those three things. You want to look for a certificate of authentication.
Mm-hmm.
What was the second one? Oh, the full spectrum isolate or broad spectrum. You also do want to notice that, because it's going to be very important, like especially one in pricing, but in how it's going to affect you. Like if you're really looking for something to sleep and you get a CBD isolate, that may not necessarily really keep you in your REM stage. CBD is an anti-inflammatory, it's for pain.
Right.
But if you use
Hmm.
CBD broad spectrum with some CBGs or CBNs, that may help put you to sleep. But the full spectrum one is really what's going to help relax you. So
Mm-hmm.
there's those different factors.
Okay.
Yeah. And then start with small, low doses.
Right.
Try
Right.
a couple drops. Wait a couple hours. If nothing, try double that droppage. And see what that does. But
Okay.
start slow.
Yeah, that's good. So just I know we're getting close to time, but I
Yeah,
do
yeah, go
know
ahead.
that you did like a clinical trials and stuff like that. You have a book, and so tell us, all that stuff and
Thank you, thank you, thank
how
you.
to
That's
find
true.
you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I did earlier last year. I ended up doing a clinical trial. I got together probably about 5 women. It ended up being. And the goal of that was to do monthly massages and
Mm-hmm.
include, of course, the CBD products, but I was taking blood pressure. We were doing range of motions and just
Mm-hmm.
little questionnaires throughout the massage. Like how were they feeling? We got to really know each
Mm-hmm.
other. It was really beautiful. Like they all already know, we're all already connected now. But what I did notice in it, oh my gosh, was amazing things. So like two big differences. I have one client that's a consumer, one that wasn't a consumer at all, but they both
Okay.
had heart conditions.
Okay.
My lady that was a consumer, her blood pressure always went down after our sessions when she would consume first.
Okay.
And my lady that wasn't a consumer, with the CBD, her blood pressure went up afterwards,
Huh.
after each session. And so, again, I'm just starting, so I'm excited though. So of course we're working like with the pharmacist now, so that way we could really decipher what all of this stuff means or how it could be
Yeah.
used. But from what I did understand this, I ended up lowering the amount of CBD on the client that didn't consume, and I changed the massage a little different. It became faster, more like a sports massage type of thing, rather
Okay.
than just a really relaxing one.
Got it.
And that helped her even more. That lowered it, like not lowered it, but it regulated it. Like, you
Okay.
know, so it was things like that where I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Super cool.
you know, they were also would go home and they felt, again, it was that mental thing, right? Again, we did have like a lot of that. That's part of the clinical trial, but we did have really good, deep conversation. Like we talked about sexual abuse. We were talking about growing up. We were talking about what it was being mothers, struggles. Like this was all part of the, because then I also realized in that like, yeah, if you do have like a nanny and a housekeeper, like, yeah, you're pretty easy to be able to be successful and have a good day and have less, you know, PTSD. But if you have to put your kids first all the time, and you think you have to put your husband first all the time, and you think you have to put your
Yeah.
career first all the time, and you're willing to give up some time instead of getting a massage and, you know, doing all this, like that, big difference. They would come back
Wow.
and it was like, oh no, I already told my husband, I don't know what you got to do today, but I am going for my massage. Like, you know,
Right.
that
Good for
alone, that
whoever that was.
mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I was like, we should put ourselves first. Like, it should be mandatory. Like, we need to exclusively put some time out. So I was really excited to see
Amen,
that.
sister. I totally
I really
agree.
was. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We're at time. So this is Leaf Leaf Therapy, and she is in Houston, Texas. So definitely book your massage, but she does definitely ship her
Yes.
products, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I am Coach Angie. I am a personal trainer, health coach, nutritionist, all of those things. And so definitely follow us. I always
Yeah.
post really great things. So thank you so much for popping in, and you'll have access to this video if you had to hop out, but I'll send it to you too for whatever you want to use.
Yes, yes, no, I'm glad that you put this together. I'm really looking forward to the next one. And even off of this, like, yeah, let's put in some time now and get together and work something out. This
For
was
sure.
amazing energy and great questions. This is what we need to hear. So I'm game.
Yay. Thank you. Peace and have an awesome day.
Yes, peace.
Bye.